Welcome. This session is powered by Global Talent Solution, supported by leaders of all nations, Global Society for Female Entrepreneurs, Helping Hand Foundation, Explore London, Global International Alliance, Ladies of All Nation Global Foundation, RM Infinite, International Youth Society, and Dream Bigger.
Today's host is Dr. Jaya Sajnani, and the guest is Dr. H.C. Lakeysha Mattis.
Enjoy the session.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. And today's session is the third session for the Pathway to Success and Sustainable Development Goal Program. Learning for Life, Quality Education. As the United Nations states, I'm going to quote, education liberates the intellect, unlock the imagination, and fundamental of self-respect. It is the key to prosperity and opens a world of opportunity, making it possible for each of us to contribute to a progressive, healthy society. Learning benefits every human being and should be available equally to all. I am Dr. Jaya Sajnani. I am a founder of Global Talent Solution Hub, which is a non-profit organization with a vision to create a future where talent knows no boundaries. Yes, we believe that every individual, regardless of their background, circumstances, should have access to quality education, training, opportunities to excel in their chosen field. Yes, we serve as a bridge between the education system and talent across the globe. We offer study abroad program, cultural exchange program, study exchange program, and online speaker sessions like today, where students and professionals can engage with industry experts around the globe. Before we start today's session, I would like to express my huge gratitude to our supporter. Without them, this project would not be possible. They are Professor Caroline Makaka, who is the founder of Leaders of All Nation International. Dr. Lady Robbie Motor, who is the founder of Global Society for Female Entrepreneurs, United States of America. Dr. Lenora Peterson, founder of GIA, Global International Alliances, again USA. Dr. Randy Ward, founder of Dream Bigger, and who doesn't know them? Lily and Harry, who are founders of Speakers Are Leaders. I would like to request, before we start this session, to mute yourself until the end of the Q&A session or otherwise been asked to. Now, as you all are waiting for, let's have the moment where we start today's session. Do you know our speaker? When she started here session, she said, good morning. And I was like, okay, which time zone we are in? Because we are in Industry 5.0, where we can connect to anybody, anywhere in a tip of your finger. So let me introduce our next speaker, Dr. H.C. Lakeysha Mattis. Let me tell you something about her. Lakeysha Mattis is a CEO of the Lakeysha Mattis Enterprises LLC. Is dedicated to helping others transform their lives. She inspires individuals to rise from the life's challenges and achieve personal, spiritual, and professional growth. As a director of OIS of Hope International and CEO of AMII, which is the Abundant Mindset Institute of International, Lakeysha leads with a passion for renewal and empowerment. Her mantra is started from the bottom, now rising to the top. Reflects her journey and mission to guide others in embracing their brilliance and living their best lives. So let's give a round of applause. Let's invite Lakeysha Mattis.
Good day to everybody around the globe. I am so very excited. Thank you, Dr. Jayla, for that wonderful introduction. I do have a background. I've been in the education field for over 3 decades, and I've served in different capacities. And I do have a background in STEAM, teaching my kids and advocating and showing them, providing opportunities for them to learn more. Because when our kids are not exposed, how are they supposed to know about the different tech that they can actually use? And how are they supposed to be able to compete in the 21st century? You brought up the 4 C's, and I'm like, yes, you're talking my language, okay? And when we talk about education, because I saw you put the Albert Einstein quote, well, the Latin word for educator means to draw out or to manifest. And that's what I help people to do. That's what I help my students to do. That's what I help other people that my clients. This is exactly what it's all about. Drawing out what already resides inside of you. Can somebody hear me today? Hey, so without further ado, let's get it going for the presentation. Let's see here. What's the next slide? So equity, because we're talking about equity here. Let me put this down. Equity is a global issue, I believe, and influenced by many factors because we all have a different lens. We all have different experiences, right? It all depends where we reside in the world today. And the different resources may be, not the same. Cultures may not be the same. I understand that, but we do have some similarities that's at the root of education for all of us, right? Because in education, educators, as myself, we teach, we train, we supervise, by formal instruction to develop skills in profession or a trade. So everybody has to go through the world of being educated by an educator. Now, you do have something else, and some of us call ourselves teachers, okay? We have master teachers, we have teachers at different levels, and that's just as fine as well. But I'm on the other side, and I call myself an educator because of educare, which means I'm drawing out or helping people to manifest your brilliance. Now, when we talk about inclusive education, this is what it means to me. Inclusion means ensuring that all students are treated fairly and given equal opportunities. Vision of an inclusive education for all, what I believe looks like is every child should be educated in an environment that values diversity and provides equitable opportunities for learning. Equitable opportunities for learning. A lot of times we think it means equality. That's a part of it. That's what we started. But now we're moving to, yes, it's a little bit more than being equitable is more than equality. It's a little bit more than, and then being equitable is a little bit, inclusivity is a little bit more than equity. Being equitable. And we have to make sure we're differentiating right, because it does matter the language that we use. Education has a language, right? Every field has a specific language that we use in order to identify what we're talking about so people can understand what it is and what it's not. So in an equitable society, for me, being equitable means making sure every student has the support they need to be successful. A lot of times you see an image that is created, and that image actually has these kids, and they're standing on these different blocks. And then you have equality on the other side, and there's like all of the blocks they're standing on is at the same level. But when you move over to being equitable, all of the blocks are at different levels because each student may require something different based on their own personality, based on their learning, how they learn, what type of learner they are, where their brilliance lies. So for me, a vision of being a more equitable society, that means that all students, regardless of their abilities, their disabilities, their backgrounds, or their needs, they should have access to quality education, and which is fully integrated into the mainstream school system. A lot of times our kids that have disabilities are left behind because a lot of times they're misunderstood, and sometimes people don't know how to educate them. And then you got the special ed teachers having to train everybody, and it's a heavy load to carry. So we must learn as a whole to get involved and for all of our students, education for all, no matter what their abilities may be. Now, we talk about quality education, we also must focus on the challenges, because there's key challenges to quality education. Sometimes there's a lack of equitable access for equal resource opportunities. It all depends where we are around the world, right? And where we are, even within the United States, and different districts are funded differently. In the same district, you have certain schools that are funded differently than other schools. And we do have a framework, and we do have, the government that actually dictates, it has policy, rules, and regulations to say how the funds shall be dispersed and what type of programs are going to receive more funding. I understand that. You know, we also sometimes have a challenge of having diverse curriculum that for inclusivity, so kids can see themselves inside of the curriculum and the literature that is being presented to the entire class, right? Each grade level sometimes has these specific books that they want students to read, right? And the whole grade level goes through that. They go through reading that same book. But what happens if you continue to read curriculum, you don't see yourself in it? What happens to you? Do you think that you're of importance? Or when you have curriculum that is presented, it's presented in your culture in a negative way. Hey, it does matter. It's like a deficit mindset, which we don't want to do that. We want to lead from a strength-based mindset. Moving along, another challenge within for quality education for all is culturally relevant family engagement to support and reinforce inclusive practices. How many of our families feel left out? They feel like people can't connect with them. They feel like people don't even want to approach them because they have this stigma about a culture. I see it every single day. And I'm one of those persons that challenges the norms, right? Because it's necessary. And I can get into these conversations and try to be the bridge to connect people so they can understand that we're not so different after all. There's a challenge in the policy, in the legislation to support and reinforce inclusive education, separating our students because of their ability levels or a disability. And last, I put a professional development. A lack of professional development to recognize and address the needs of all students. And not only that, to address the needs of our educators. And that means from the aides in the classroom, from the teachers to admin, to school district personnel, to the managers, all of us. Because it matters about our mindset and what we feel about our students, what we feel about the whatever department or school we work at. What do we feel about it? What are the challenges that we face? And what is the mindset that we carry about why we do what we do? So this is really about cultivating connection, innovative and revolutionary strategies for fostering belonging and nurturing resilience in students of color. And I say students of color when I say that from an academic standpoint. What it actually means is any student that is not of a Caucasian background, that's students of color. And that's in sociology, what is also known as. So that's the reference point. So how do we cultivate connections? Well, I'm talking about innovative and revolutionary strategy. It starts with something simple as fostering belonging. Do you know how many of our students feel like they don't belong? They feel like outcasts. They feel like they don't matter. Listen, I know for sure from my own experience and the plethora of things that I've been involved in and still continue to advocate for, that student engagement for change gives students a voice. When we look to foster a belonging for our students, we must give them a voice because a lot of times they're not giving that opportunity. Now, would you agree that despite the challenges to providing quality education on a global scale, that we as a society can find creative solutions to overcome these barriers and ensure learning for all? Yep, I'm talking about inclusive education. I'm talking about equitable education here. And another thing about that is allowing students to create or become a part of the and be responsible for running their own campaigns, their assemblies, and other ideas that they come up with that actually gives them a sense of belonging and it gives them a reason to care and you give the power to them. Isn't that wonderful? The second thing is an innovative and revolutionary strategy to cultivate connection is setting the tone on school campus and within classrooms. Educators should be intentional about making sure that each of their kids are seen and they feel heard and they feel a connection to that classroom. Do you know how many of our kids, because of different behavior issues they may be having, are not knowing how to communicate, right? Not having the 4 C's because they haven't learned it yet? How many of them are put aside and pushed to the side and deemed unteachable? The research shows it's there. Another thing as an innovative strategy is to connecting students one to another on a global scale. I think this is it. You know, there is power in numbers and it can bring more awareness and compassion among our students who stay connected with each other. Imagine on a global scale, our students connecting one to another, even as we are introducing them pen pals, right? Technology that we can use now in order to have our kids to be able to connect. It is so powerful. That is exactly what we're doing today. Why not give that power over in perimeter, of course, with the monitoring, of course, but to our students, the power that they can have, even beyond the connections and the the relationships that can be built. There's a quote by Jesse and Brian Mateo that says, even the smallest act of caring for one another is like a drop of water. It will make ripples throughout the entire pond. We're talking about a ripple effect. When we extend our hand to someone else, it not only brightens their day, but it also brightens our own lives. And a lot of times that is not considered. Okay. So we talk about nurturing resilience. It's strength-based. Having a strength-based approach to identify and leverage strengths is very important. Having a caring adult, it seems so simple, but the research shows that having one caring adult can help a kid actually stay in school, remain in school, feel heard, feel seen. It is powerful beyond measure. Mindfulness and emotional intelligence growth mindset need to be taught to our students as a framework, allowing them to navigate through and to see what is most empowering to them that they can use. Peer support networks to build connections and problem solving in community is also another revolutionary strategy that nurtures resilience, because our kids need to learn how to have that bounce back. And the global and cross-cultural perspectives that we learn about each other, because it actually matters. And that's how the connections are grown. And that's how we can stop having stigmas about different people, students, and things like that. So changing the game means, to me, shifting one mindset at a time. And creative solutions for quality education for all is knowing that students you serve in each other, knowing their individual challenges and their needs, offering individualized support to students to address the possible barriers that they face, because each one may be different. It may be a language barrier. What about a transportation barrier, right? A personality barrier. Creating systems and programs and family outreach and partnership opportunities to connect and bridge the gap that families are having, that they don't have the resources available. And last, student-centered programming to help all students feel a sense of belonging. There it is, affirming them and a sense of accomplishment at that. I believe we must continue to educate ourselves to elevate ourselves. And I am Dr. Doula, Lakeysha Mattis.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Lakeysha. That was wonderful. And yes, I do agree what you mentioned it about, that equality. It's not just the equality in terms of race and gender availability, but students of colors, the different kind of levels of the understanding of the same terms is very, very, very important. And this is the reason United Nations goal number 4 does say that if you are an organization, if you are an individual, we are in an AI world. How do you promote this goal? Is just allowing people to access to free education. Yes, the education has some features aspect which comes with a cost, but by doing so, by using the technology, you can reach out to those areas, those generation, those potential global talent who economically cannot afford to travel and sit in that classroom in the States with the Lakeysha. This is the reason we are bringing Dr. Lakeysha Mattis here in today's session. And you have put through that amazing insights. We have 517 live viewers at the moment who are watching you, and not just watching you, but listening, understanding what is the United Goals and how these sustainable development goals can be used to our day-to-day life. So you have done fantastic job today. And now it is a time for the question answer. So there are 3 predefined questions has been asked from our audience. I'm going to raise one by one, and you have opportunity to answer or add on any questions. Okay. So our first very question is from audience. How can inclusive education contribute to fostering a more equitable society? Wow, wonderful.
Talking about equitable education.
Yes.
Yeah, just like, I did include it in my slides, but when we talk about equitable, just have to make sure that we're not thinking that that's equality, because it goes much deeper than that. We have to make sure that we're talking about the world of education, that we're giving each and every student what they need based on their learning style, based on their needs, based on, fair assessments we're taking, that we're not having, a lot of times there's bias that actually happens within the educational system, and it can be very inequitable for our students across the board, right? Because of mindset, I say minds have to shift. There has to be a mindset shift for us to really understand. There's the same issues that really run through as a thread to that goes against equitable resources or services or whatever we want to say. There's a thread that runs through, and it says, come on, we're educators. Come on, we're brilliant people. How can we not take the time that is necessary and required? Because being equitable is very hard work. That means you have to have no students at an individual level. That means you have to make connections with parents, but a lot of times educators or teachers don't want to do, because they don't understand the cultural differences, right? Or the cultural norms of that culture. So yes, being equitable can cover so many different avenues. It really can. So we got to know, what are we defining here? What are we really talking about here? Because equitable, we talked about with curriculum, we talk about equitable with family services, we're talking about equitable with our students and how they are treated within a classroom. What are we talking about? We must identify it, we must pinpoint it, and we must have these courageous conversations about it to make sure that we're putting our students first. And I think that is equitable.
That's very nicely answered. Thank you so much, Dr. Lakeysha. And actually, when I was hearing you, that how do we make it equitable? And it's not easy. There are lots of challenges and barriers you get as every individual human, even though you belong to the same community, same race, same gender, still within yourself, there's a different characteristic of the student, yourself, how you eat, how you behave, what you understand when somebody's saying hello to you, the way and the style, and these all matters a lot. So we're going to talk about the challenges, and that brings our second question for today, which is audience has asked, what are the key challenges in ensuring quality education for all, and how can they be addressed?
Well, the challenges are access. And we think that a lot of times that resources, like resource opportunities, I've been in a lot of situations where it's like one school knows information that another school doesn't know. One department has information that another department doesn't have. And it's a make or break situation. Information is important. That is power, right? That I can have opportunity, I can have a choice. So having inequitable access for equal resource opportunities is a huge one, because we think, oh, but I told them. You told them, but that doesn't mean they knew how to access it. Did you make sure that they understood and understood what you were saying? See, those barriers that we try to sometimes pass it off. Oh, well, I did this, so it's done. It's like, no, that doesn't work for me. You need to follow up. You need to make sure that you're in the business, meaning that you're making sure that parents and families and the students are getting what they need. Did you follow up? No. Diverse curriculum for inclusivity. A lot of our kids do not see themselves in this curriculum. How do you think it impacts them to sit up here day after day, year after year, grade level after grade level, and not see themselves in a positive fashion or light within the curriculum? It does impact them. Cultural relevant, family engagement. You know what? Example, I serve an African-American population of students in a beautiful, brilliant initiative, like a program that we do. And we had one of the other persons from the parent engagement say, how do we approach your people? And I'm like, who's what people? What is she saying? Well, I don't know. When I call, it's like they don't want to talk to me. I'm saying, first of all, you need to know cultural norms. And we're human beings. How would you approach anybody else? Why is it different for this person? So having those biases, I'm telling you, we got to check ourselves. We got to check ourselves, and we got to understand that when we mean quality education for all, there are challenges, but we can work together to do whatever we need to do to eliminate those barriers and be in it for the long run. And I'll rest my mic after that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lakeysha. That was fantastic. We have one more last question from the audience. Let me just raise this question. The question goes, what innovative approaches have you seen or implemented in your enhanced learning outcomes in diverse education setting? So have you been any kind of a setting where you had to implement, or you have seen they implemented to address innovative approach?
I can go down a rabbit hole with this one, but I think avoiding deficit thinking, many of our kids, the challenges that they have here, it is different. It's quite different. Our backgrounds and what we bring to the table, and it really is. And it shows us what we're really working with. And then we know where to go from there. And you're right. You can't take on everything at one time. You have to solidify what you're going to do, get people on board. One of my strengths is connection, right? We do this like the learning personality traits, my top 5. One of them is connector. I'm a connector. I can't help it. So, but I also know that you only need a few people on the boat to make it go. You don't need everybody, because you're going to have some people and they're try to rock the boat. They don't want to get on. Let them stay where they're at. You don't need that negative energy. Go with the trailblazers. Go with those who are willing to do the work. Go with those who have the passion enough to be able to step out because it's their calling. It's not something they do to get paid. This is something that they were born to do. That's the difference. That's the proof. That's like the icing on the cake for me. Building empathy within our cultures. Yeah. Implicit bias, learning who we are as individual people, learning that our background and our differences does make a difference, because how we see things from another point, I might have a kid getting educated in a hut. They don't even have resources to the curriculum materials that we have in the United States. Where United States, we have a mandate. There is a law that you must have a certain amount of curriculum in the classroom for each student needs to have it, or you will get in a lot of trouble as a school. You see the difference? So there is a difference, and we need to be aware of those differences, but we need to know that those differences can be the difference and the answer to lessen the gap. Because your brilliance and your experience and what you bring to the table and your connections, and with my brilliance and the experience I bring and my connections, I'm telling you, we can make something beautiful. Education for all, quality.
That's fantastic. Oh my God, Lakeysha. That's so truly mentioned. I mean, we have still 450 plus live viewers. And if you are an organization leader, entrepreneur, founder, and you're wondering that how do I make it this equality for all, as the Dr. Lakeysha mentioned it, that this boat is not for everyone. When anybody is joining you, they're joining for that journey, and that journey has to be enjoyable. You need to understand, you need to see that, diversity, equality, and inclusion, as Mariana as well mentioned it, it's not something the words, it's you feel, you understand that yes, every individual person brings the value to your organization, to your life, to your journey, wherever you are heading towards. So it is very, very important that you understand their background, their culture, because what you can bring it, what they can bring it, and that is going to add the value. That is going to run the boat. That is going to push your vehicle. So fantastic. This was the amazing, coincidentally, session where I have learned a lot as an entrepreneur, as a giver, as a non-profit organization. I am sure we have still live viewers and they are dropping some question online as well, but they have learned a lot as well. So thank you so much, both of you. We have one, Sulu. Do you have any questions, or we can just go on the end this session, because I really want to thank both of the speakers more about it. Okay, they left. But so I would like to just mention you, this is a series of the 6 episodes where we are talking about the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. There are total 17 goals. Unfortunately, we cannot cover all. As the Global Talent Solution Hub non-profit organization, we follow goal number 4. That's why today's session was very, very important for us. We believe in equality of education and allowing every person, individual, to have access to this economical, affordable education system. And this is what Global Talent Solution is creating, a platform. So don't forget to attend next session, which is the next Thursday. And it is again very important, because that session is about jobs for the better world, decent work, economic growth. And that is you and me. We both can bring it together to the world. So next session on 1st of August, next Thursday, same time, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. London time. Till that, take care of yourself and have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to catch our next session live on 1st August 2024.